Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Another week. It's after a major hangover week, which is always interesting. It's always an interesting Monday or beginning of the week, whatever. After you've sat and watched a great major, and the PGA Championship did not disappoint this week. I think for me, I kind of had mixed thoughts. I mean, the PGA for me is the 4th out of 4 majors, that's for sure. But it was actually probably one of the best ones I've ever watched, or one of the best in a long time. So it was great. But before we get into anything today, just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Titleist, Pro V1, and Pro V1X golf balls. So, I mean, it's the Pro V1 and the Pro V1X. Realistically, I probably don't need to say much because it's the #1 ball in golf. So the brand new for 2021. New aerodynamic casing cover. It's basically got a the longer, softer feel, better greenside control, just improvements everywhere. The Pro V1 delivers a little higher trajectory, but it also has get a little more. Sorry, the Pro V1 has a little more penetrating trajectory. Pro V1X has a little higher trajectory, but Pro V1X is going to feel a little firmer. Pro V1 is going to feel a little softer. I played the Pro V1X last year for a good bit of time, just I needed some more height, and then slowly moved back into the Pro V1 after I kind of got my swing back and was hitting the ball a little higher. But ball flight of the Pro V1 is going to be more mid. Pro V1X is going to be a high ball flight. The long game spin, the Pro V1 is going to be a little lower, but it's also but both balls are going to spin a ton around the green for a ton of control. And I mean, it's the Titleist Pro V1. Go to Titleist.com, check them out. It's the #1 ball in golf, and what else can you say? It's kind of the bar that is set for tour caliber golf balls, but the next level of performance. So here it is. Go to Titleist.com, check them out, and see which one's right for you. So the Pro V1, Pro V1X golf balls. I got to get those things out. I haven't taken either one out of the box yet, and I need to do that, so I will do that shortly, I promise. But yeah, how about the PGA Championship? I mean, I don't think anybody at the beginning of the week expected that to be such an exciting and fun tournament to watch. It ended up being awesome. Phil, 50 years old, winning, which is just crazy to think about. I mean, being in that kind of shape and having that kind of game and all that. I mean, I'm 10 years younger, and I mean, I need to get in better shape. That's kind of, that's just obvious. But but that's crazy to be able to play at that level. But it also, I think, gives me a little bit of hope that, I'm 40 years old. I figured most of the great golf for me was behind me. And it just goes to show, if you do put in the time, you put in the work, you keep your body, somewhat healthy, whatever, you can play this game at a high level for a long time, and which is fun. I mean, it's one of those things where this is a game that you can play for a lifetime. You can't always go out and play basketball when you're 70 years old, but you can definitely still play golf or whatever. But it was awesome. Glad to see, happy to see Phil win. I think if, I think the PGA looks at it, if Tiger can't win, Phil is the next best guy. But then there's also, the Bryson and Brooks drama. So much going on with that tournament. It was just crazy. But it was exciting to watch. And typically, like I said, the PGA Championship is, the one that, out of all the majors, if I'm going to skip one to go either play golf or do something or whatever, it's that one. And I did go play golf on Sunday, so I missed most of the beginning of it, but I got back. Well, that's not true. I think I got back in time for like the actual airing, like 3 o'clock. So saw a bunch of that, and like I said, I typically that isn't something that I pride myself on of watching that, but it was fun, and I'm glad I did. So. Great PGA Championship. It's kind of weird having the PGA Championship first. It's usually, that last tournament, or that last major. But, with that new schedule and with COVID and all that, it just feels weird with majors right now. So, but yeah, pretty fun to see. I'm excited. I'm happy for Phil. I'm a big Phil fan. If you're curious about what watch he's wearing, I'm going to give myself a shameless plug, golfwrex.com, what's on the wrist. His typical old school Rolex Cellini Danaos. Was back on the wrist. He's been rocking a Yachtmaster lately, and he went back to the Danaos, which is kind of cool. But I did a little article, and it took me a while to research that thing because there's not a ton of information on that watch. It's just not. It's not. I mean, it was made back in 2000. It's just not a super popular watch, in terms of a lot of information on it. But Anyway, yeah, I'm kind of, this week is interesting. I don't really have anything crazy new to review. I've got some stuff in that literally came in like end of last week, beginning of this week so far, that I'd finally got my hands on some of this stuff. I just haven't had a chance to get it out yet. So I've got some irons that I'll talk about next week. I've got I've actually got a Mevo Plus to mess with, which is pretty cool. I wanted to try that for a while as well. I know a lot of people are interested there. So I've got that to mess with, which I'm pretty excited about. I don't think it's going to happen today. It looks like we got a little rain going, so it's not going to happen today. But I'll get to that for sure. And then it'll be interesting. I'm very interested to see, once I get using it, if that is something that, like, you guys, if I go hit like a driver versus a driver and have the numbers off that, is that something that you guys respect? Like if I say like, hey, I hit, G425 Max versus, Epic Max LS, like, is that data, do you consider that accurate enough to be, to be comparable? Is that accurate enough where you find a comparison like that worth it? Is it not? Do you have to go up to the bigger guys, the Trackmans, the GC Quads, the stuff like that, in order to kind of respect and trust the numbers? So, when you see this on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod, when I post that the podcast is up, I'll probably ask that question. So let me know what you think, because I'm interested. I know there's other launch monitors out there at even lower price points and stuff like that. And I know, some people really like, those numbers, and they trust it. They like that. And then other people, they don't, they want something that's a little higher up the food chain. So be interesting to see what you guys think. I would appreciate your feedback, as I always do. But yeah, this week I've played a bunch of golf. I actually played last night. So I'm recording this morning, Wednesday morning, which I woke up early to do. And yeah, I subbed in another one of my soon-to-be, I guess, brother-in-law. It's like my sister-in-law's soon-to-be husband. So I never really, I just call him my brother-in-law because it's just easier, and it's easier to understand. But whatever. But yeah, my soon-to-be brother-in-law Sean asked me early in the morning if I could sub in his league. It was at a course that I haven't played at forever. If you're, again, a local Metro Detroiter, if you ever remember Pontiac Municipal, which is now the Lynx at Crystal Lake, they've changed the name, much more fancy name. I was asked to go play there, and I said, why not? I was asked to play there. I checked with my wife, and then I said, yes, why not? That was the real timeline of events. But I hadn't played that course in forever. I hadn't played it since they changed the name, which was years ago. And I said, yeah, I haven't played that course in forever. And the last memory I have of that course, which I don't think it was the last time I played, was in anger, I dumped a cart in a lake on accident. I mean, it was a bunch of frustration, but I did dump a cart in a lake. And it was interesting because that was a pretty funny story that everybody was pretty entertained by, because we were playing. So, I mean, it's a 9-hole. We were playing 9 holes, and it was the 9 holes we were playing was the one where I dumped it in the lake. There's a really short par 3. I don't remember exactly what the what hole number it is. It's a really short par 3. It's on an island. Like, you basically no, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. So it was 5. So the 5th hole, you drive across. You play par 5. You drive across this bridge. You're on an island, and it's like a 100-yard par 3. But there's water in front, back, left side. So it's like a peninsula that you hit to. And back in the day, I mean, this is probably, geez, it has to be like 15 plus years ago. Probably more than that. It was probably like 2002-ish, whatever. But anyway, you would drive up, and after you hit, you'd drive up and kind of go around. There'd be a little like circle drive type thing, turnaround area on the cement. And I hit a ball in the water. I hit a second one in the water, and then like I hit one fat, and it was like on land, but I'd hit it terrible. So I was really frustrated. And my partner, the guy I was playing with, he just started walking. He was like, I'm not even getting in the cart with you. So I went off, and I drove the cart, and I was pissed, and I just ripped around that little like circle drive turn. And now there's a seawall there, and you actually don't even drive up there anymore. You pull up, before that, that part's like grass. You can't even get up. Well, there's grass there now, so you can't even, it's not even a way to drive up there. But Anyway, I went up there and just kind of like went really hard around that turn. And as I was going, the tires hit the dirt, which there was no seawall, and it just dumped me and the cart into the lake. So my partner and I were trying to push this thing out. I was in the water. We're trying to push this thing out. And so the guys behind us, the group behind us rushed over, help. We got it out. And it was like half the cart just covered in mud. So the driver's side, it was like a perfect line down the middle of this cart of one half being mud and one half being clean. And then right as we got it out, the ranger came over and was like, "Yo, what's going on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I drive around the corner. I didn't notice something. The wheel hit the dirt and I fell in." And the guy was just like, "Okay, like, does it run?" And we got it running. It was like, oh man, it drove terrible. It just sputtered for a while. And but it ran, and I played in bare feet. I was soaked. Thankfully, it was a really hot day. And I finished out the rest of the round. I think I actually played pretty well barefoot, so it was interesting. But nowadays, it'd be really tough to put it in the water, like I said. Then if you did, you're not getting it out because there's a seawall and all that. So it is definitely changed. If you played at the course, I mean, the only downside of the course was that it was in good shape, but man, the greens are super long. They're really, really slow. I hit the ball decent. It took me a little bit to get going, but I hit the ball pretty decent. I just couldn't make a putt. I couldn't get anything to the hole. The greens were extremely slow, very, very long. When I got to the practice green, I actually sat down and I asked the guys there, I was like, "Is this like a true representation of the greens?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Wow, they're definitely shaggy compared to what they used to be." But it was fun. It was a good time. Like I said, the course, other than that, is in great shape. It was a good time. I was glad I got to play. I made a bad double on the last hole to shoot 40, and I was plugging along, just making pars. And like I said, my putting was brutal, so I wasn't like making any birdies. But at the end, I hit a decent drive, kind of drew it to the left, and it went under a tree. So I tried to punch it out, run it up onto the green, and I just didn't commit to the shot. Decelerated, hit it fat, got it out from under the tree, but then I had a wedge on. Hit what I thought actually was a really good wedge. It went a little long. It rolled up like just against the collar. And I tell you what, if a ball's against the collar, I really struggle to figure out what club I'm going to use, how I'm going to hit the shot, the whole scenario is bad news. So I had a wedge, I had a putter. I was trying to decide what I was going to do. I took the wedge, of course, decelerated and barely didn't even get it on the green. It was still on the fringe, and made my 2-putt for 6. So it was kind of a rough way to end it. But other than that, like I said, I hit some good shots, and we had a good time. We had a good group of guys in my group, and it was fun. So I took a totally different set out. I brought out so I've actually taken a different set of clubs out, I think, the past 3 rounds I've played or something like that. So last week I played Tuesday last week, and I played like the Cobra MIM Tours. I played just a different stuff, and then this time I actually took out my old PXG Gen 2 tees, which have the Nippon Modus 115s in them, and took those out because I hadn't played them in forever, and just wanted to kind of play the shaft and the head. Just it's been a while, and I took those out. And I guess, like, honestly, nowadays, after playing, like, the T100, the ZX7s, even those Cobras, like, those tees, I just don't hit as well. I mean, they're definitely long. I hit some shots out there that were extremely long. Or not extremely, but, like, that went farther than I really expected. But I just don't hit them as consistent. Like, I'm just much more consistent with those slightly smaller club heads. And I don't know why, but... I don't know if it's like a blade length thing through the swing. They don't feel as comfortable, swinging them. And I just am not as consistent. I mean, I hit some good shots, but it's, I'll hit far more off center and other shots with them than it seems like the other irons. But those Nippon 115s feel really good. I'm impressed with those. They definitely fly higher than the 120s. And they're kind of like a lighter weight 125, I feel like, in terms of performance. But I really did like the shafts. Those felt really good. It's just those heads. I don't know what it is. I just didn't. I wouldn't say I didn't get along with them when I played them. I played them fine. I think I've found a way to make them work. But now realizing that there's things out there that's just way, way better. Like I said, I think it's part of it. There's like that face is faster. It gets a little more speed. So I was kind of like, a little bit long on everything last night. Like I was hitting everything to the back of the green instead of the front. which I mean is in a sense is a good thing. I mean, I was typically on the green, but you know, it's one of those I'm just not as consistent with them. So I will go back to one of the other 3 sets. I think I'm going to put shafts back in the T100s. I think I'm going to put the Fuji Pro 115s back in the T100s, just to have another set to play, because why not? And then I'll have a couple sets ready to go. So, but yeah, I took out, I had the TSI 3 out, and that went all right. I put the Mitsubishi Tensei CK Pro blue in to 65, and I hit it okay. I didn't hit it near as well as I hit Ventus Black over the weekend in the G425 Max, but I hit it pretty decent. I hit definitely some long shots with it, and it was pretty solid. I think I still like that head with the Ventus Red, something just a little bit higher launching, but overall, you know, it's a pretty good driver. It's definitely long, and it's definitely more forgiving than it should be in terms of the looks and the profile. So, but yeah, over the weekend, played really well. We had a 4-man scramble with my dad, 2 of his kind of regulars in his leagues. And we played down in Coldwater, the old Bella Vista, and it was for the Bronson High School Viking Open, which I've played in pretty much every year for the past like 5 years, something like that. It's not my high school; it's a high school down there, but it's a fun little you know, scramble outing that they have every year. And I think my you know, those guys like it because it's not great. You know, it's pretty inexpensive, really. I think it's like, I mean, if you throw in skins, you know, string, mulligans, all the stuff that you can do in that thing, I want to say it's like $100 a guy if you throw in like everything. And I think it's actually less than that. They always have like nice little, you know, prizes. Like this year was pretty nice, like hooded sweatshirts, which is kind of cool. Any Minnesota Vikings fan would have been ecstatic because they're purple and yellow and have like the same Vikings logo. But it was fun. Like I said, I played in it every year, and this year we went into it, and I basically went down and probably had the best driving day of my life. We shot, now again, you have strings, so if you hit a shot within like, you know, a couple inches, you can cut off a piece of string, the ball counts as, you know, birdie, whatever that shot is. So we shot 17 under, making 0 putts, and basically using all our string on like 3 inches or 2 inches. I mean, we got everything close, but we didn't make any putts anyway. So I know that I probably drove the ball better than I've ever driven the ball in the past 5 years, 6 years. I had the G425 Max with the Ventus Black. So I had that bad boy. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that mine has a purple screw, which is for Club Connects. I know people always ask, like, what the heck is that? And then I was rocking the Ventus Black that day, which was a 6X. And I tell you what, I set it up heavy weight, or the back weight in the full fade position, and then I set it up to be basically with Club Connects. It's not true, you know, like 1-to-1. Like their things are slightly different than what Ping does. So basically, it was about 1 degree flat and 1 degree lower loft. So it was a 10-5 head, playing at basically 9-5 and setting flat. And I tell you what, I hit the ball so well off the tee. It was crazy. I've never hit the ball that well, and I hit driver on basically every hole that wasn't a par 3, because it's a scramble, and you know, if those, you know, the 3 guys I was playing with who are older, don't hit quite as far, I mean, they were the layup shots. So for me, it was just every hole, you know, there was no laying up. So like hole 10, for example, on that course, it's not a driver hole. You usually typically hit it, depending on what tee box you're playing from, you're hitting about, you know, you basically, you know, hitting a 200 yard to 210 yard shot from the white tees, and maybe a 220 to 230 shot from the blue tees, and you want to play the left side, and then you have a shot into the green because it's a big dog leg right. The green is just, and it's all trees lined, so you can miss it a little bit left at 200, but not a ton. Anything beyond that, you better hit the fairway, because there's almost 0 rough, and you go in the trees, and just walking down into the trees to find your ball is a pain. You're not going to hit it out of there. It's just too thick. So I usually hit like a 4 or 5 iron off the tee, and then I hit a, you know, usually like 7 iron, something like that, 7, 8 iron into the green. And, you know, these guys, of course, laid up. So it was like, well, I've got to go for it. And, well, I mean, there's no point of laying up to the same spot. So you would have to hit like this perfect little cut around the corner. And it's doable, but it's not a high percentage shot. And I haven't been hitting a cut anywhere near consistent or repeatable or on command at all. And, of course, on this hole, I was like, I guess I'm going to try to hit a cut. And it was the absolute perfect cut. I hit the thing. And it was going straight, and at first I was like, oh, I don't know if it's going to cut. Is it just going to keep going straight? Is it just going to go into the woods? And at the kind of the last second, like as it hit the corner, it just started to fall right. And it was perfect. It was exactly where it was, dead center of the fairway. There's a cart path that runs kind of at the corner. Cleared that by a good amount, and we had like 99 yards in. So it was like the perfect shot down around the corner. And it's a shot that I've never... Like, if I'm playing my own ball, the risk is just too great. I'm not hitting that shot, especially when I don't feel super comfortable hitting a fade. But it was just one of those days where, like, hitting that. And then also, too, like, this combo is really been really long. I played that course, I don't know how many, probably 100 times in my life over the past, like, 7 years, if not more than that. And there was a couple holes where I just, like, hitting shots. I was like, man, I am a little further up than I typically am, whether it was like 5 to 10 yards or whatever. But I've had, hitting a couple shots there that I think one was on 11. There's you got to hit it through this chute over a marsh, and then there's kind of a hill that comes up at like 250 yards, 250 yards from the green. It's a par 5. And on my really good shots, I could get it just on top of the hill. And this one, I was on top of the hill, and I was probably just by again, probably like 5-7 yards over the hill. And I don't remember being there too many times, if ever. The 14th hole, which is a really short par 4, I had like, there's a big mound or kind of a mound in the fairway, and then it drops down and goes up to the green. And usually I'll come in the little valley or maybe up on the kind of as the hill climbs, I'm like right there. This one I was on top of the hill. But there was a couple shots like that it was just like I was in some longer spots typically than I usually am on holes where I hit driver. And so far I got a lot of confidence in the combo. I was going to take it out again last night, and I said no, let's try something different. So I don't me, I don't want to after my best driving day of the year, I don't want to just follow it up with the same driver. So I basically took out something new. But driver wise, like I said, Ventus Black 6X, no tipping. Into Ping G425 Max 10.5, lower loft fade, and the heavyweight out in the fade position as well. It really has been really good. So I've hit that really well. I'm super excited. That's like kind of in the bag. Like if I have to go play with anybody or whatever, or if I'm only allowed 14 clubs, whatever, that's going back in the bag. But I just hit it really well, and like I said, it was. Ball trajectory was somewhat high, but it was actually slightly lower than I thought. Like I might actually try it next in the full 10-5 position. But like I said, the thing was, I can't complain with how it was playing. It was really going. And, and again, I was hitting the ball well overall. Like I said, I just didn't make any putts. The rest of the shots I hit were really good. My wedge game even was decent. I mean, I was hitting, because in scrambles you always end up with some of those weird yardages, because everybody's hitting driver, you're pounding it down as far as you possibly can on any hole. And I, you end up with some funky yardages. And I think last year we played and we literally had like, I think it was like something like 86 yards into like 3 greens, and we never even got the ball anywhere close to the hole from that yardage. And this year we had a couple, the angles are funky, you got to hit it over a bunker, whatever. And, wedge game-wise, I hit some good wedge shots. Overall, I was swinging it well, so I can't just say this is like the magic stick, but right now it's the magic stick. So that's kind of in the bag right now. My 3-wood thing, I guess I'll go through a little what's in the bag. My 3-wood thing, or my 3-wood journey is still ongoing. It's kind of a battle right now between, I was playing the TSI 3, with a Ventus Blue. I was playing that or have been playing that since Johnny Wonder gave it to me, and it's been pretty good. I haven't been super consistent with it. The ball flight's just a hair low with this than compared to some of the other combos. I hit the Sim 2 Max, and it's just, I don't feel like, for me, the Sim 2 Max just isn't really going anywhere. You know, I hit it good, and it seems like it's really short. But this thing here, I mean, when I hit it well, it really goes. I actually have to take a little off it sometimes. We had on Sunday when we played hole 2 or hole 3, which is a par 5. You hit it down into this valley, because if you can't hit it like 320, you can't clear the valley. So whether you hit it 260 or you hit it 290, it doesn't matter. You're in the bottom of this valley. That's where the ball ends up. So we were, of course, at the bottom of the valley, and we had, you know, the pin was in the back. I think it was like 229, and I kind of choked down a little bit, and I hit this thing, and the first one I hit it left, but I hit it just absolutely flush, and the ball's gone, went over the green. I mean, it hit kind of pin high and just took off. It was gone. We never found it. But one of our guys drove up so we could see, and he was like, yep, it's left, but it's gone. And then I hit a second one a little bit to the right, but it was pin high, and I choked down like 1.5 inches on the club. So crazy long. I might actually swap out the Ventus Blue for a Ventus Red. I think that would actually be a great combo in this head for me. Just launch it a little higher, a little easier, and I think that Ventus Red with a stiffer handle section will probably give me just a little bit more control than the blue, just for me. But overall, like I said, you got a blue 7X in here, and it's been pretty good. But I think, like I said, I might switch this out to a red, and and that could be a real good combo. But then, of course, throwing wrenches in gears, I took out the old Hamna TR21 Big LB last night, and I hit some absolute shots with it. One hole, hole 6 over at the links of Crystal Lake. You basically tee off from the island. You got to hit it over the island, or hit it over the lake. So you tee off from the island, hit it over the lake back to the mainland, and it's a big kind of dogleg left. And I think it's like 180. I didn't remember seeing the sign there, but there used to be a sign that said it was like 180 or 185 to clear the water. So you had it at 185 to clear the water, and then you could aim it farther left towards the green and take off more. So there's like a big opening at where it's 185, and you can hit it straight ahead, or you can just, there's some trees that you have to take it over, but you can hit it a little farther there. And I basically just ripped 3-wood over the trees. I had like, I don't know, like 80 yards in or something like that. Probably less than that. I think I had like 60 yards in, but just ripped with 3-wood over the top. And then I had a par 5, like hole 17, where I hit just a garbage drive, just snap hooked it left. It bounced off the fence that protects the road from idiots like me. And I was in like just the beginning of the fairway, so I was probably 350 yards out. I mean, I probably hit the ball like 125. It was like 350 yards out. It was forever, and I just hit that thing off the deck, right down the left side of the fairway, and it nuked it, and I had like 143 in or something like that. I mean, I hit the thing, I don't know how far it went. I didn't laser it from how far I was out, because I knew a full 3-wood would hopefully get me down to a short iron in, and it did. I ripped that thing off the deck, like I said, with a little draw down the left side, and I had like 140 in or something like that. So I basically went driver, 3-wood, 9-iron, and was pin high, and ended up 2-putting for my par. So that's been really good, and I've been playing that with that thing. I put in that Nippon Reggio Formula MB Plus 75, so I had that rolling. And I tell you what, in a fairway wood, the thing's really good. I mean, it's mid-launching. The handle's fairly stiff on it. It's a pretty darn good a fairway wood shaft, and even driver shaft for the most part. But like I said, that combo there kind of revived itself, because it was struggling for a little bit. But after that, I might give it another shot. So that I think that right now the TSI 3 and that TR21 Big LB are kind of the two to kind of battle it out right at the moment. Hopefully I'll get my hands on 1 or 2 of the Callaway heads. They only sent 5-wood, so I'm gonna have to go somewhere and find them. But like I said, those 2 right now have done really, really, really well. So excited to keep hitting those. And then yeah, before I get into the rest of my stuff, this episode, remember Fujikura, the new for 2021 Vista Pro. So the Vista Pro is a line of shafts built for fitters to fit just about any player. It's got a full range flighted line, so basically the lighter it goes, the higher it launches, a little more spin. Heavier it goes, lower launch, lower spin. And they basically offer weight ranges from 40 grams all the way to 75 grams for woods, hybrids, irons. And they offer flexes basically down to what they call R3, which is kind of a women's flex, all the way to extra stiff. And it's just a full range to fit pretty much any golfer out there. It's basically taken a ton of learnings from what they learned with VeloCore and some of the other technologies, and they've got a multi-material bias core to add a bunch of stability. And when you look at the price and you say, wow, that's a cheap, an inexpensive shaft, don't think that it's not high quality, because I've hit it. I've got one on the wall back here. I've got a couple up here in a hybrid and an iron, and it is insanely consistent, very good. I know a couple people have DM'd me looking for, wanting to maybe try it in like a 3-wood, because it is kind of mid-launch in the wood shaft, and that 75X has a couple people been really shocked at how good it is, how consistent it is, how stable it is, and they've been really impressed. So the new Vista Pro from Fujikura, go to fujikuragolf.com, check out the specs on the Vista Pro. It's really, really good. And whether you're a golfer, who's looking for added height, added distance, a little more spin, or a golfer who's, stronger, faster, looking for something that's kind of, mid-launch and low spin. I mean, the Vista Pro it offers something for everybody. So, like I said, really good. Don't let the price fool you. It's a solid option. So, like I said, Fujikura.com or FujikuraGolf.com. Check out the new Vista Pro. So those are kind of where I'm at with 3-woods and driver. Like I said, right now 3-woods is just a search, man. I've been struggling. I want to take out the titanium head, tailor-made to see, because I think that would basically maybe be a little lower spin. I don't know what it is. It's just everything with that the Sim 2 Max just kind of gets up in the air, kind of floats up. I mean, it just spins too much. Kind of floats up and just falls out of the sky. So I've got a Ventus Red in it right now, 7X. I might put in something a little lower launching, a little heavier, see if that makes a difference. But right now it's kind of on the sideline, which stinks because I kind of like the head. So, but like I said, little search for 3-wood still. So we'll try a few other combos. Hybrid has pretty much been the Titleist TSI 3. I messed around. I took out last night, took out that Tour Edge C721 again, which is a really good hybrid. I mean, it just feels good. It just, they've done everything right with that thing. But the TSI 3 has actually been really good. It came with an RDX, or Project X Hazardous RDX Black Smoke, just a long name shaft. And I hit it pretty decent, but I hit it pretty flat. And then, so the TSI 3, I went in and swapped in a Ventus Blue 9X, and honestly, trajectory, everything have been really, really good. Can hit it off the turf, can hit it off the tee. Pretty much I use it off the tee for the most part, but going to the Ventus Blue, really it added a little more loft, and I'm able to kind of feel a little more comfortable hitting it into off the deck or off the deck into like par 5s and stuff like that, just because it does launch a little higher, it lands a little softer, but this thing's been a great combo. I'm a huge fan of the shaft. It's been really good, but the head just looks good. I mean, it's small, it's compact, but it's pretty darn forgiving, and it's for the most part pretty anti-left. I mean, the only time it's going left is my swing path dictates it, which, I mean, happens a lot, unfortunately. But if I can kind of come over the top and go outside to in, I can hit it left, but on normal shots, it is dead straight to maybe just a slight fade. And so far it's been really successful, and I've kept it basically. I went to B1 on the hosel, so it's just flat. It's 20 degrees, just flat. It's a 3 hybrid, and so far it's been really good. There's been certain times, again, kind of like the 3-wood, where it's almost been a little longer than I've expected, and I thought about dropping it down to 21 degrees to see if that would help or bring it back. But so far I like having the ability at least to hit it farther. And then if I need to take some off, I can always choke down and hit it that way. So right now I've left it. I probably will, as much as I talk about, like I said, choking down, or as much as I talk about changing the loft and all that, I'm probably not going to. But this thing's been really solid, and like I said, so far it's pretty much in the bag. Like I said, the one that's maybe behind it would be that Tour Edge, that C721. I know it's kind of flies under the radar for most guys, but it's got a little bigger shape. It definitely is a little more forgiving. It launches a little higher. It does have a little more left in it than this does. And for me, like I said, the club path issues I have, that's why it kind of it's in second place right now. But it is a really good hybrid head, and like I said, off the turf, it's definitely easier to hit, and the sound of it's really, really good. So TSI3 still in the bag for hybrids. So I've kind of got a little bit of Titleist in there going on, which usually typically the top end of my bag doesn't have pretty much any Titleist, which is pretty interesting. My 4-iron, which has been a utility iron for a while now, is still the old new level, the NLU 001. It's just been a really easy thing to hit. It's a 21 degree. I bent it to 23, so it's a little weak, but I needed a little more. It was basically a little too long. I needed something a little weaker, so I bent it to 23, took a little bit of offset out of it, which was nice. But I hit the, I had the U500, I hit the Srixon, and this one here it had a little better sound and feel while still being easy to launch. It's still really forgiving. It's pretty long, heel to toe, so it's got some stability to it, but it just has a really soft feel and sound. It's got kind of a click to it when it goes. And I just, like I said, I've hit it really well. So it's been in the bag. I hit it really well a couple times over the weekend. I hit one into a par, or actually both into a par 5. Or no, I hit one into a par 5. What was the other one? I hit it twice. It had to be. Oh no, it was 2 par 5s. So I hit this thing into the green on 11, and I actually hit it over. It hit the green pin high. Pin was in the back, bounced over, and it was just off. And then I hit it again on, was it 15? Kind of out of the rough on the right, and basically hit it to pin high in between a bunker and the green. So, like I said, it's been really good, easy to hit off the turf. It's great off the tee. It's definitely long. And then in this, I slapped in the old Pga Pro 95 Tour spec, so that iron shaft, just something a little lighter, and it also launches a little higher, so it helps get the ball in the air. But this is basically, so far, beat out the Srixon, the ZX utility, mostly on just the sound and feel a little bit. I've just kind of liked this a little better because both of them fly pretty high, pretty easy to hit. But this one, I think, that's the big difference for me, has just been this one's had a little nicer sound to it. So the new level NLU 01 is pretty darn good. I've been excited. I've liked it a lot. If you want like an inexpensive utility to try, because you haven't gone down the utility road, I want to say this thing is like $150, something like that. It's pretty inexpensive, but it's got a good sound and feel to it, and it goes. It's easy to hit. So if you're thinking about going down the road, the new level's worth trying. But that's been in the bag, and right now it's going to stay for a while. I mean, maybe if I can get my hands on one of those like prototype Callaway ones, maybe I'll give it a whirl. But I think those are a little hard to come by. So. Iron-wise, as you would expect, is basically still been the old Srixon ZX7s. Yes, mine are raw, which has been awesome. They're starting to really patina up, and I love the look of them. But, I mean, these things just perform well. That Tour V-Sole, for me, being a kind of a steeper player, it's great through the turf, whether it's, swinging well or not. It get great turf interaction. Things are really, really soft. They feel great, and honestly, they're fairly forgiving for what they are. For being kind of a one-piece forged player's iron, they really are pretty forgiving and easy to hit. And so far, I've hit them really well. I'm still playing the Modus Tour 120 in them, which does bring the ball flight down just a little bit, but I'm still able to get them up in the air. I haven't any problems holding greens, anything like that. So they've been really solid that way. I've the Modus feel is always been phenomenal. So, the 120, I think, definitely does keep a little bit of left out of it. I kind of want to put some 125s in there just to maybe launch them a hair higher and have just a hair stiffer handle section. But, the 120s have been really good. So, yeah, these things, I mean, it's hard to say much about them, but I'm playing these 5 through 9 iron. And like I said, the raw looks pretty awesome. I know a bunch of people always see them and they're like, how'd you do it? You got to take it to a shop, unfortunately. It's not something that you want to DIY. They are, it's kind of a nasty process, and you got to use a bunch of harsh chemicals and stuff like that. So I would say don't go do it yourself unless you have the tools and equipment and all that to dispose of the stuff and all that. And if you do, I know I've got the question too, are the heads lighter after you do it? They are. Mine lost about 5 grams per head. in terms of total weight. So when you rebuild them, you're going to have to probably throw a little tip weight in there just to compensate for that that weight that went away. But like I said, not a huge deal. But so far, those irons have been really, really good. Like I said, the sleeper for me that have been kind of creeping up on those is the Cobra, the Tour MIMs. Those have been just really good too, and they feel awesome. So those two have kind of been my my two go-tos lately. But I'm gonna throw some shafts back in the T100s and kind of toss them back into the mix again to see what happens. But like I said, these ones have been killing it. So the Wedge Game is still the same Wedge Game. I've been basically going SM8s from pitching wedge through sand wedge, and I basically have been playing the SM8. I went raw, but basically pitching wedge is it's just the standard 46 10F. And actually, and I think I've told people before, I've really liked going to the wedge, pitching wedge, the more traditional wedge, only because I've been chipping with it more. Like if I'm just off the green, like I'm short of the green, I don't really have to carry anything. I'm just kind of bumping the ball onto the green and letting it release. I've just gotten more comfortable playing, doing that with this. And not that I can't do it with a standard pitching wedge, but it's been just something that I've gotten more comfortable doing that with a standard wedge. So it's been good. I mean, I do lose a little forgiveness on the actual full shots for the pitching wedge, but distance-wise has been pretty good. Like I said, mine's a 46, bent to 45, and it's been really good so far. So it's still there. My gap wedge is the 50-12F, which is basically same F grind, just a little more bounce. And I'm kind of glad I went that route. I don't hit the 50 out of a bunker or anything like that, but again, conditions up here have been fairly soft, like it's raining right now. So if I go play on Thursday or tomorrow, it's not going to be super firm and tight. So the F is that 12-degree F is just an easier club to hit. It gets a little better turf interaction for me. I know some people have tried the 12 and it's just too much bounce. The sole's just a tad bit wider, but for me it works really well, and I don't really open it up. So that when you open it up, the leading edge raises off the ground. It doesn't really affect me that much. And then I play the 56D grind, so the 5612D, and that thing's been awesome. It's easy to hit out of the trap. It's got good tipper interaction on full shots, and then you're still able to open it up with that trailing edge and heel relief. Open it up, and the leading edge doesn't come off too much, and hit something a little higher lofted, a little softer, a little more spinny. So that is all done well there. Those haven't changed. And then my Lob Wedge, which you don't see in the bag because it technically isn't out yet. I can't talk about it for a few more days. My Lob Wedge is something that I can't talk about yet, but I've really liked it so far. It's performed really well. You'll hear more about it in the next few days or so. I think it's like next month or something. It gets released. So I've been playing that. Before the Lob Wedge that's in there right now, I was playing just an RTX zip core, and basically just because the D grind in my Vokey set was just a little too much, I tended just to I wasn't getting the bounce correct, and I just was kind of bouncing the ball, the club early into the ball and hitting it lower and all that. So I moved to the RTX zip core, and great spin. The sole it was still like 12 degrees, I think, but it's the way it's shaped, it just has less of a that bottom, where it bottoms out, where the bounce actually comes to, is just a little more rounded, and it was just I played it better. So I was playing that, but then trying this new one, I really like it, and like I said, I just can't show it. It's unfortunately off camera over to the right, but I'll be talking about it when I can. So, and then putter wise has been the old Bettinardi BB8 wide with the Fujikura MC putter shaft and firm. Now I'm going to have to do my one complaint about the Bettinardi head covers, I wish they were magnetic. But anyway, the BB8W, so the wide, which I haven't been a blade guy in a long, long time. But it's definitely a wide blade. It's got a little bit of toe hang to it. It's pretty traditional, but the wider blade, I think, with the longer sight line, just makes it easy to frame the ball. It squares up easy. I'm able to aim it pretty easily, and I think that little extra deflange on there gives it a little more stability. But the MC firm has been great. I really like the feel of it. It actually softens the putter up just a touch because it doesn't have a ton of milling on the face here, so it is pretty crisp. It's a little firmer feel, and the shaft takes a little bit of that off there. But the firm has been really good. I've really liked it. I've been playing this thing for the most part. I was not going to play it last night. I was going to bring a different putter, and then I was like, why? Like, I putted really well with this. I'm going to keep rolling with it. So I really liked it so far. Basically, it's the stock head, MC putter shaft and firm, and then I've got a lambkin deep etch on there. It's not the cord because I couldn't find any when I needed them. I needed them like immediately, so ordering them online wasn't like an option. I needed them like pretty much right then, so I went to the local Golf Galaxy, and they didn't have the cord version. They only had the rubber, so the feel is pretty good. I do miss the cord on like last night was a pretty humid day, and you can tell like my sweaty hands. I don't want to say it gets slick, but you definitely notice a difference in feel. So if I need to get my hands on a couple cords, and I'll maybe swap this one out. But so far the putter's been really good. Last night, like I said, I didn't putt well, but it was mostly speed issues. I was hitting it at the pin. I had 2 shots where I kind of my right hand got a little yippy, and I pushed a putt left. But again, I think that was just because I knew the putt was slow. I had needed to hit it a little firmer, and I didn't. At the end, I just tried to give it like a little extra pop, and it didn't work. And that's been a problem for me for a while on slow greens. Is just my right hand gets too active in the putting stroke. So, but other than that, I've made a ton of putts with it. It's been really good, and I've been a big fan. Like I said, I haven't played a blade in a long time, but it's been fun. It's been, like I said, something that I've made a lot of putts with, so I can't complain. And yeah, it's been pretty good. So that's pretty much my what's in the bag, which I kind of didn't expect to do, but it's kind of fun to go through and see what you have. Also, the other putter that I mess with is my Toulon Chicago. So I guess I have been playing a blade, played the Toulon Chicago a little bit, and then I still have the Odyssey 10 and that Mizuno M-Craft V, which both again really good. I almost took the V out last night, but I didn't for whatever reason. So I've got a couple putters there working, but the Bettinardi's been kind of leading the pack. So that's all I got for what's in the bag. Like I said, I apologize. I don't have anything to really review right now, but I will next week for sure. I got a handful of things ready to go. I got some other stuff on the way. So I'm gonna gotta have more stuff to talk about. So anyway, if you have any questions, have any comments, anything you think I should review, whatever, hit me up on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod, and look for also today or on Wednesdays I do my little Q&A sessions. If you have any questions, anything like that, ask them there. And yeah, like I said, let me know. Hit me up with the DM, slide in, and we'll let me know what you want to see on the show or hear talk about. So. But that's all I got this week. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend. It's Memorial Day. It's a long weekend, hopefully, for everybody. And I know I'm going to play a little golf, so I'm excited. But anyway, you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you next week.